Welcome everyone to the fifth edition of the DAIA Agent Alliance, Agent Privacy and Security Club. Thanks for joining this week. On the road today, I'm in Belgrade, Serbia, reporting my hotel room. So it's going to be a somewhat lighter session, quick recap, some status updates, and then a guided discussion on what we need to make the first DAIA proposals actionable. So for today's agenda, as I mentioned, quick recap from August 12th, which was our last meeting. We're going to be discussing the compliance guide status, AAIP process status, AAIP. Before we had mentioned DAIP, but I think autonomous agentic improvement proposal has a better roll off the tongue there. So I think if we went for something like AAIP, that could work quite well. Then a discussion around what makes an agent security proposal actionable, open floor for contributor updates and steps. So I'm just going to touch on some recent news and industry context. I haven't had a lot of time to catch up on what's happened, so I'll give you some headlines. If anybody wants to comment on any one of these things, if you have context or if this has affected you personally, we want to hear it. So Copilot personal flaw. This was an automatic prompt execution and memory persistence showed how agent context can become an attack surface. So this is why it's very important to be making sure that your agents are acting in a private and secure manner as much as possible, because things like context can be weaponized. Then we've got Google and Mandiant using agentic review. So agentic source code review found 100 plus critical flaws in 2 days after a breach, showing both defenders and attackers can move at AI speed. Then we have CISA KEV, Ray and ML Flow joined the exploited vulnerabilities catalog, putting AI development infrastructure on the same urgent patching track as mainstream enterprise systems. DMCA 1201 legal cover for security research remains temporary and narrow, including unresolved questions around AI model testing. And NIST SP 1353 draft, AI can help draft security profiles, but every claim must be source backed, marked for human review, and treated as non-assessment. So has any of this affected anyone in our crew today?
Absolutely. The reason why I use Quill.
The reason why you use Quill. Awesome. And that's your...
Yes, sir. The private, bank grade messaging app, which covers all of that. They keep upgrading every month to make sure they are under those NIST standards, because they're now in Canada, which has a little bit more regulation than the US, I guess. So it's Canadian grade, which is looking at GDPR still.
Okay. Yeah, GDPR is a great framework for data privacy, and it feels like America is starting to adopt some of those practices. Regis, you have your hand up, and it's reminded me that I didn't pause for intros, so you have to say, but also give yourself a little introduction.
Yeah, my name is Regis Chapman. I'm currently the author of a lot of things like the Integrity Suite, which I'm basically building an agentic harness for. So it's my proof of coordination protocol is working off the back of my Integrity Suite. So I'm basically making a whole thing so coordination can just be fixed and solved kind of at the root level. And yeah, to that end, I'm actually inspired by some of the things on the screen right now, because I'm taking those things into account while I'm building my agentic harness. And but my thing is kind of independent of whether it's a frontier model or any other kind of model, because it kind of wraps the model context thing in a bubble. So yeah, so that's me, and I'm a lifelong geek. I have a professional career of about 30 plus years in tech, and I've done almost everything there is to do in tech, and this is my new thing. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Was there anything specific from these from the recent news that you wanted to touch on as well?
Yeah, I guess, there's just the the Mandiant agentic review is an interesting model, whether you use that for whatever Google's using it for or just reviews. But for me, it's actually that approach to how to do agentic things was something that modified my understanding of how I needed to approach my own harness, and the security related stuff around that as well.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear more about your harness later on down the meet when we open the floor up. So there are a few other new members here today, or new contributors. Anybody else want to introduce themselves? Unmute and shout out or raise your hand. Okay.
I guess so. Oh,
Alula,
go for it. I didn't mean it. Okay. So Alula Zariun, I'm a founder of Edge Labs, and yeah, I've just been a big fan of joined, I think, last session as well. Chris was generous enough to share the invite, and a lot of familiar faces in the group here. I'm interested in the privacy aspect of AI, and then also the sustainability aspect of AI as well. So just really a big yeah, just big supporter of everything that's going on here, and wanting to participate in and collaborate. So just wanted to say hello and introduce myself one more time, just for all the new folks here. So
yeah, thanks, Alula. And I know you're actually at the enterprise or development side. You're deploying agents as well, so it's really important to have your voice here contributing. We come from all backgrounds. Some people who are in compliance, some people who are deploying agents, and people like myself and Joel from Certisyn, who are creating standards and frameworks that can plug directly into the agents which you're deploying. So that's the importance of this group, really, is that we have people from all walks of life coming and joining in and talking about the pain points and seeing where we can push things forward in the industry. And I'm actually really excited to figure out how we can move the improvement proposal model forward, and then potentially become a standards practice or a standards body ourselves. Right. So anybody else wants to introduce themselves, butt in at any point in time. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep moving on down the line here. So recap from last time, 2 weeks ago, we discussed the compliance problem. So assertions are not attestations. That's something that comes directly from Joel's work. We can touch on that a little bit more down the line. Then we have evidence must be tamper-evident, policy-bound, and independently checkable. Again, pulling a lot of this stuff from Joel's work. He had a great contribution a couple sessions ago where he presented and brought some interesting stuff to the table. Agent compliance and verification guide is becoming a living reference. Something we've talked about for a couple of meetings now. I was hoping to have a nice, quick PDF handout available to download within a week that covered sort of compliance mapping around agentic deployments. If your agents are touching certain types of data, what regulations should you be concerned with? And this has grown into a much larger thing. Joel and I have been I've worked on the mapping side, and Joel has worked on the implementation side. And at the end, we have an appendix of references the sort of canonical references that people can point to, so they can look at the work that we've put in, and then they can go to the actual source and see if there are any updates. Now, this is way too big to be a PDF handout. It would be something like 40 pages. So I think it
Sorry,
will be. Oh, well, Joel, butt in, yeah.
No, I was just saying, sorry. It is a big document, but it's a big topic at the same time, so it needs detail.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot to cover. So I think the best way forward for this is to host it on GitHub. Lou spun up a GitHub today, and we will work on getting that posted up there, and then it can be a living reference that's updated on a regular basis, say quarterly or something like that, where we can do an official update to it. And it can be open for PRs over that point in time as well. So yeah, keep your eyes out for that. It's something we'll be working on here and async through the Telegram. So yeah, excited about that. Then we've got the 8 control areas. Oh wait, that's not actually on the slide here. That's mentioned in the so we did cover 8 control areas and maturity levels, and how that's evolving. We've got the AAIP process, as I mentioned earlier in the meeting. So AAIP standing for Autonomous Agentic Improvement Proposal. We introduced a path from workgroup discussions to standards. Where does that leave us in the realm of standards bodies? I don't know yet, but we have some interesting contributors here who are adjacent to lobbying and compliance, and they can put us in the right room with the right people to actually discuss these things and see how agent improvement proposals move forward. ZKBC implementation pattern. So zero knowledge boundary compliance is something that Open Matter has been working on with Hashgraph Online. That is a standards process that's happening. If anybody's interested in joining Hashgraph Online as a partner, reach out to me if you're building in that space, in the standard space. Let me know if you want to get involved, and we can join you in there. Joel recently joined, so congrats on that. Potential implementation pattern for agentic compliance. Then we got hardware versus software attestation discussion. That was opened up, and Joel and Zoe from Ledgerless have been discussing that a little bit, so we may touch on that a little bit later. Now, moving on, let's touch on open threads. So core threads are the compliance guide distribution. As mentioned, we want to decide whether to publish it internally or circulate as a guide, and potentially hosting on GitHub repository. Does everyone think that GitHub would be a good spot for this, or is there a better place that we should host it? I mean, should it just go on the DAIAA website, or should it be in GitHub?
I think GitHub's a benchmark, really.
Yep.
It gives you instant credibility.
The way that I've been doing mine is that I have the standards published at the GitHub level, and then I have a kind of an explainer on top of it on my website, with links and stuff. So I find people don't connect to complex things like this unless you kind of give them a doorway in. So.
So what you think, by posting it on GitHub it wouldn't be seen?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on where you're coming from with this, right? So if you are a developer, my concern is that I'm concerned with the larger world, in a sense, like engaging with the material rather than like all of us AI people who are like writing agentic harnesses. I think it's important that the broader public be able to understand why we're doing what we're doing and what our approaches are. So that's all I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, so maybe we could build it in GitHub and do report that's published somewhere and down. Open to thoughts.
Yeah, you can put the explainers on the DAIAA website and the standard, the technical data up on GitHub, obviously. I mean, GitHub allows you to include both because you have to comment everything that you post about. But I think, yeah, if you want to add something to the DAIAA website and you're trying to make it into a standards body itself, then that's a reasonable way to start to build profile and a centralized location that's for less technical, perhaps, reviewers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my Integrity Suite website that I included there is kind of an idea about how to do the information, architecture for that kind of thing that Joel just said.
Okay. Nice. integritysuite.org. I saw you posted in the comments there. Sorry for anyone trying to reach me through the comments. I'm got a lot to keep my eyes on here. So if you have anything important, always butt in. And yeah, I'm happy for you to just join in the conversation. Okay, nice. Well, yeah, I think that's definitely something to consider. As long as Lou's up for it, we could publish a sort of formal framework on the site that's an easy reference that people can come to, and it will be more public facing, and then have the working body in GitHub, and we can try and publish that DAIAA site possibly quarterly, something like that. Okay,
I think that makes
nice.
sense.
Yeah, you like that?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Sweet. All right. So next up is areas and maturity levels. So Joel, last time you mentioned that there were some updates to your 8 control areas. We'd like to hear about that.
Yeah, so I have to remember exactly what I was referring to then. But yeah, I have the 8 control areas essentially reference the kinds of things that you would want to have as baseline material. So in maturity models, you have things that you look to define the difference between different levels of capability and so forth. So all I've done with those is to essentially identify things that I think are the core elements of creating value when it comes to agentic AI. And it doesn't have to relate specifically to commerce. There's lots of other things that it can relate to that are not financial transactions. But essentially, yeah, if you wanted me to present, I could actually just send in the group afterwards, if you like, the details relating to that. But I think it would be interesting to some of the people here, given what the conversation has been about already, just briefly. So that's sort of a high-level view of what I'm saying. But yeah, there's other conversations that I'm having in other forums around these sorts of things as well. I'm involved in standards with NIST and IETF, and the HOL conversations are only new to, but they're sort of maturing quite rapidly now. But yeah, so there's lots of different places where I get to have a conversation. So I'm happy to share something about that.
Yeah. I mean, if or something, and just send it to me, and I can post it to the Telegram, or
Yeah.
eventually we could get you on Telegram, and then you can post it.
I'm actually on Telegram, but I don't go on there very often. So
Right. Yeah.
I've got lots of different places to add comments and be in different chat groups. But yeah, I'll get better at Telegram, I promise.
If you want, and I'm happy to forward things onto the Telegram group if it's too much to, obviously, there's a lot of surfaces that we need to be in charge of. We need to manage all that. Hey.
Sure. Happy to do that.
Cool. Nice. Thanks for that. Next up, we have the DAIAA governance and charter. So this isn't something we've necessarily talked about formally yet, but if we're going to be doing governance proposals or improvement proposals, we're going to have some sort of formal way of commenting on and pushing things forward in a transparent and somewhat authoritative way, whether that is some sort of token voting. I've been involved with a number of DAOs, and I certainly don't want to start another DAO. I'm actually starting another DAO as we speak. And so, yeah, I don't want to be doing heavy governance, moderation and controls, but I think it will be important moving forward to consider how we push improvement proposals forward. So we don't need to make any decisions here on the call, but we will open that up at the end if anybody has any thoughts around how, or share now if that was something that was on your mind and you've already thoughts.
I'll just quickly share that I think the solution here, whether it's something like Monday, something else, but I think you can use AI agents, to move forward, the better.
You're breaking up substantially there, Lou, but I think you said something about utilizing agents as a voting mechanism. I'm gonna let those thoughts sit with you, because
I'm sorry. Can you hear me better now?
A little bit, yeah, quite passive, but I think you're coming through.
So just real quick, I'm just saying, I think we should eat our own dog food, and to the degree that we can leverage AI agents to help us move all these processes forward, the better.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've been involved with some agent governance previously, through Horizon. Not sure if any of you were, or Event Horizon rather. Not sure if any of you here have had experience with that. They've shut down since because, well, DAOs kind of had a bit of a decline there. But the tooling around that now exists, and we should figure out how we can implement that. So good stuff. I like the dog fooding methodology, Lou. So then moving on to our AAIP candidates and policy. The initial AAIP specifications are for tamper evidence and adversarial exercise. This is something that, this is, we're moving forward at machine speed here into, and this is something we talked about like 6 weeks ago. So Joel, where are you sitting on this front? Are these still things that you're interested in pushing forward through this forum?
I guess yes is the short answer. And there's always a good conversation to be had around lots of these things because they're relevant and increasingly so. Yeah, happy to be part of those conversations and drive them forward.
Okay. Hey, Regis.
Some of the standards I've authored are directly relevant here, so it'd be cool, Joel, if I can connect with you in some way to discuss that. So, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, share your LinkedIn, Chapman. Okay. So, hey, Alpha, we see you in there, buddy. I'm not sure if you can actually understand me since you're a French speaker, but okay, mate. Good stuff. And Regis share LinkedIn so everyone connect with Regis. Hardware and software attestation. This is something I thought was Joel with Zoe on the call last time. Did you two converse after the fact?
We didn't get to catch up yet, but that's still on the agenda.
Okay. Yeah. So you've got some interesting ideas around software attestation. That's a place where we need to connect on a commercial level as well between Open Matter and Certisyn as well at some point in time. But yeah, we don't necessarily need to talk about that here. I just wanted to bring it up as, the type of discussions we've been having here in the forum. Anything else you'd want to share on that regard?
No, that's good. That's a longer offline conversation for sure.
Excellent. Yeah, and then legal and policy onboarding. So active recruit and bring legal and policy focused contributors directly into the technical standards drafting process. That's something that will be ongoing. And we have some people who are active in lobbying scene, the legal scene, and connected to NIST directly. Joel, you're connected to NIST, and we had JP in here a couple of times. He's connected to NIST. So yeah, we'll be doing that as we move forward. So AAIP focus is our slide.
One question
Go
on
ahead,
that,
Lee.
Chris. Will that be a subgroup? Because I do have some legal and compliance people that could join that are working for some of the very big exchanges, crypto exchanges.
I think really this AAIP is adjacent, or I should say is overarching across the entire DAIAA ecosystem. It applies to all the work groups or subgroups. And yes, by all means, that could become a new subgroup. I wouldn't want to, I would participate, but I wouldn't want to lead that myself. So Lisa, if you know somebody who'd be interested in leading a sub directly related to that, then I think that would be a good move forward.
Yeah, that would be super helpful because the custodians that are building now to the exchanges would also need guidance and also can give guidance. For example, Anchorage is building out their correspondent banking offering with BNY Mellon. So I think getting someone from BNY Mellon, someone from Anchorage on the compliance side, because we're actively building that out now. So I think it would be a good time. They're starting to roll out their ACH in a month. So we're at that point now where we really need to have the governance model pretty clear for what will be those standards. And I think Anchorage is working directly, right, with DC on a lot of this, with Atkins, for example, directly with Atkins. And I think that'll help all of us, potentially.
No, absolutely. I mean, the more surface area we can cover with this, the better. And if you know somebody who'd like to share that, or if you would like to form a new subgroup, then I think that would be a good forward. So I'm sure Lou's ears perked up there. So we can so we can push that forward. Thanks, Lisa.
I feel seen.
We see, bro. Okay, so next steps, as we're proposing this here, we might as well push forward. And if we do create a new subgroup to control all this, or to be the stewards of this, that would be fantastic. For now, let's put in some of the groundwork. So what are some of the practical and actionable standards? An autonomous improvement proposal needs to be useful. A proposal should clearly answer 6 foundational questions. That is the problem solved. So what specific problem is it solving for? What minimum evidence or control is required? How would an adapter definitely know they comply? Target audience, who needs it? Reference implementation, what would a reference implementation look like? And what aspects should be left flexible to accommodate different implementations? Open the floor if anybody thinks we need to add anything to those practical and actionable standards. I think that is probably a good summary for, and this is something that can grow over time.
Can you share the link to that talk in the chat, please? No, I would like to look at it.
To the slides?
Oh, I don't know. There's a Google Docs thing at the bottom. Is that the slides?
Oh, yes. Let me see what this is. Oh, yeah. Sorry. This is let me just grab the link and I'll share it in the slides. That's why I had that in there. Thank you for that, Regis. Okay, so this you shared with us before, and I'm actually going to, I'll share this on screen now because it's worth a look. We had a quick look at it last week, but allowed to share window, and here we go. Yeah, we had a quick look last week, but it's worth revisiting. So this is the framework that borrows from proven models, IETF, W3C, and DAO governance, adapted for the decentralized AI agent alliance. We have a proposal intake, which is standardized template, low barrier to entry, public repository, GitHub or similar, working group triage, so route proposals into relevant working groups. Working group lead or rotating steward confirms the proposal is well formed and non-duplicative before it moves further. Then we have the draft and discussion phase. We move on to review and revision. Formal vote ratification. This is where our governance would come in, or our formal governance, I should say. Because governance is more than just voting. Adoption and versioning. And then the governance meta layer, define how the process itself can be amended, a constitution or charter document, build in conflict of interest disclosure for proposals tied to specific commercial products. And again, this is open. I believe this document is actually open for access. Let's see if it's open for, yeah, anyone can edit this. So, you know, if Regis, if you wanted to go in there and take a stab at adjusting this, by all means, go for it. I would just update in the Telegram group if you've made any updates, or you can do
Yeah,
it
I
as
just not on the Telegram group yet, I don't think.
Oh, okay. Let me
I
grab
just,
that.
I think I just found this group by a cross post somehow, and it's like exactly everything you guys are doing is work. I've been doing completely on my own for like a year. So
if
it's crazy.
if anybody on the call isn't a member and wants to be, all they have to do is send an email to info@daia.org.
info@daia.org. Okay, perfect. Thanks for that, Lou. And I've got the Telegram group at the end of this, but because you were looking for it right now, I'm going to copy that link and I will share it in the chat. So there's a Telegram link in the chat. You can go in there. We have a privacy and security subgroup in there. And it might be worth, Lou, it might be worth creating a new group for this specific topic. You can call it AAIP process or something like that, whatever you want. Okay, so I'm gonna swap.
I'm sorry. What was the last thing you said, Chris?
I said to create a new group in the Telegram, or a new subgroup in the Telegram group called AAIP. Because it's not specific to agent security and privacy. So if we're going to have an improvement proposal process,
Okay, got it.
having a Telegram chat for that specifically. So yeah, awesome. Okay. Yeah, thanks for calling that out, Regis. That I left that link in there for a reason, and you spotted it. So nicely done. Okay, so looking back at our first two candidates, we don't need to go too far in depth with this. And I also wanted to say that in terms of in terms of like what I've written down here, I don't really want to overstate the proposal before Joel has a chance to expand on it. But the core question, as I understand it, is whether logs required by frameworks like the EU AAIP and ISO aligned rules should be independently tamper-evident or re-derivable by someone outside the record holder. So it would be a good opportunity to discuss this, not necessarily finalize it. So Joel, I think I'd like to just open up the floor to you, and see if you've got any thoughts on what to do. I don't know if you want me to read out what's on the screen first, or if you've had a moment.
No, I think you can see that. That's all right. Thanks, Chris. There's a pretty reasonable size conversation going on in around this. There are a bunch of reasons why tamper evidence for regulatory logs is a big deal. I'm in conversations with the CISA as part of the Emergency Communications Division or Department inside Homeland Security, and they're on the clock right now, specifically because there's executive orders which have come from the president to suggest that they need to understand how to really get ahead of the problems that are part of this specific issue, where they can tell the lines of communication that they have specifically around emergency comms in all sorts of scenarios, the order and the sequence of them. And what they're finding is specifically clocks are the things that are being interfered with, so that they can't tell the order and the timing of particular communications that are arriving in emergency services channels. So that's a problem when you have chains of command who need to rely on information with certain precedents built into them. So the idea of having tamper-evident logs in real time, as well as for regulators post or de facto, is a really key thing. So all of those pieces of standard there, the EU AAIP Act 42,001, 27,002, and other things as well besides those, really hinge on the fact that there has to be a way to confirm that something happened in a certain order. And that's really the core premise of what Certisyn does, actually, is to identify the timing and the sequencing of specific actions, whether they're agentic or human, is irrelevant. But the idea of having a log that is tamper-evident is really a critical element of that. And the thing that survives post-quantum compute capabilities, which are soon to be arriving and which people are preparing for now. So that's what I've been working on in great depth, is to figure out, and I think we've found the way to do that. And so referencing that in a bunch of different forums to have people comment on that and confirm, so doing lots of testing and red teaming and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think if people have other insights that they want to share on these specific things, happy to hear them.
Yeah, and so what are you looking at in terms of sequencing and deriving your times, making sure that clocks aren't spoofed?
Yeah, so there's some proprietary stuff about that, so I can't really share all of the detail, but there is no real way, as far as I'm aware, and this has been going on since at least 2020, when previous executive orders were issued by the administration to say you need to figure out new clocks, so that they're tamper-evident clocks. And when we say clocks, it's actually a real clock. It's something that people use as a point-in-time reference to say this is immutable as regards to the time. So it doesn't matter how you measure time. In my view, the idea is that the time is less relevant than the order. And so there are things that we know have to happen in a certain order, and that's really where Certisyn specifically is focusing its attention. We're not trying to invent a new clock that's tamper resistant or proof. We've actually focused it on the other direction to say, if communication happens as it does, and the things have to happen in a certain way because of actions that people communicate, then that's what we're looking for. And then we can provide cryptographic seals, or the derivation chain root hash that shows this happened and then this happened and then this happened, or this was said and this was said and this was said. And that's really how emergency communications specifically, or any other type of communications at the sovereign layer, happen. And we know that certain communications can't have happened before others because that's physically impossible, and it's also procedurally incorrect. And that's how we're solving the problem.
Okay,
Can you,
so
just for somebody who's new to this, I don't know what Certisyn is, so is there a website I could look at?
Yeah, Certisyn.com that's my company. So CERTISYN.
pop that in the chat there. I got that. Yeah, nice. Okay, so sequencing. It's all about sequencing, less about the actual time.
Yeah, and so why that's important, if you think about in a different context, as an example, say you do a contract for a house that you're buying, you would know that a DocuSign document or some other company's version of a DocuSign would come to you, and they'd ask you to sign and initial things and all that sort of stuff. And so we take that same view that you can't get to buy a house unless you've gone through all the specific steps that lead to the transaction conclusion. And so there's a logical order for things. So if you sign the contract before you've done the due diligence on the home, that's backwards, and that's illogical, and it doesn't actually make the thing appear to be valid, because it doesn't seem like it's the right order for you to do things. And so there's that kind of logic is what we're applying to these standards. And so there are things that people are focused on, about whether the AI was set up correctly, the agent was set up correctly to do its job. That's intra. We're looking at the whole process end to end, as well as the inside each step. So the step has to be established correctly, and the sequence of those steps have to be ordered appropriately in order for the thing to be valid. And so we seal cryptographically all the things that happen inside each step, plus all the steps in a connection string, so that we can find whether or not it is complete. And so that tamper resistance then is natural, because you can't take something out of it without it being an obvious hole.
Mm-hmm. And are you blockchain technology with
For sure. Yeah, so I mean, yes and no is the answer to that. So some things require, and it's important to post on a blockchain somewhere so that people can independently rederive the verdict. We'll see how it's calculated. But some client scenarios would require air-gapped environments that are off-chain and offline. So we have solutions for all of those different types of needs for different customer profiles and scenarios. So yeah, we can do it but in every instance, it's independently re-derivable, so that you can see how the thing was calculated, or what the verdict was comprised of.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like we got a little bit more to sync up over off this and figure out how we can put this together with some form of improvement proposal, even if it's adjacent to the other standards bodies that you're submitting to. Okay, nice. And the next candidate is...
Can I just say that I also have two standards that are directly relevant to this? So, sorry.
Vince?
Yeah, keep calling it out, Regis. So yeah, more people that are thinking about these things I think it's useful, and there, as Chris is alluding to, there are many different standards bodies, and there's definitely crossover between them, and there's no one right way, I think, to create standards, because people will adopt them from different places for different reasons. And if it's posted in 3 or 4 different spots, I think that's better. It just suggests that it's important. And
Yeah, and some of it's just me trying to figure out where do I get that in front of people who can who know about this and can test it. So thanks.
so you said, Regis, that you've got a large number of standards. Where do you post them now?
I've got 3 GitHubs, depending on what the relevant thing is. So it's all on the Integrity Suite website, FYI. So you
Right,
can
but
look through there.
you post to IEEE or IETF or NIST?
I'm literally creating all of these like in my garage by myself.
You must
so,
have a garage then,
but-
man.
Yeah, it's just in my head. So I'm independently doing some of the work that you're talking about, and so I'm really excited to be around folks who know what's going on with all of this. So thank you for doing
I'm
that.
still a baby, mate, but I'm working it out.
Yeah, I would love to geek out with you about what I've been working on. So thanks.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, and Regis, it would be great to put some of your proposals in the pipeline here.
Yeah, I've got like 3 or 4 that are directly relevant to all of this.
All
So
half a dozen standards published before the end of the year would be amazing. Okay, sweet. So speaking of next up, we've got this other candidate, 002. And this is the compliance problem. So let me just bring my notes up on here. Adversarial exercise as a reportable grade. So let's see. The second candidate is, again, based on Joel's framing. The idea is not that we already have a complete grading system. The narrower claim is that a control that has been adversarially exercised is materially different from a control that's only documented, and that difference may deserve to be separately reportable. So the discussion question is, what kind of evidence or test would justify that claim?
Now there's got to be other speakers than you and me and Regis.
Anyone else want to weigh in here? So some of the
I'm making room, but I've got a lot of work around exactly this too. So.
Yeah. I mean, weigh in, Regis. That's what we're here for. Some people are just here to listen, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, like I think I'm at like 20 standards now, and almost all of them have to do with this in some way. So I've got craft, which is basically a chain that has 6 qualifying things, and either it is or isn't a chain. Do you know what I mean? So if it fails any of those 6 tests, then it just doesn't qualify as a chain, and it's just. And then there's the 2 gates on either side, which are standards that gate what format and in what ways the data gets into craft. Those are independently, the in and outdoors are independently adoptable, and craft is just what exists in between. So all these are also free, and they're all just sitting on my GitHub. So you can use them anytime you want and look at them. But yeah, it's plus I've created a whole precision toolkit for AI and a precision council for AI. So all of these things are all every question in here has been my specific field of study for the last 6 months. So yeah, I don't know what to say. I literally have spent 6 months thinking about everything that's on this page. So
cool. No, I think adversarial definitely has its place. I do it routinely with everything that I prepare, whether it's client facing or standards facing. I always red team, and I seek external reviews. So I'm doing a lot of work with IETF people around the world at the moment as well, and we routinely share the testing harnesses and the results and how we've figured out whether something works or not. And so I think if we adopt the same methodology here, Chris, it would be super valuable, because presenting something to a standards body like NIST or anywhere else, they would expect that you've done that adversarial exercise to prove that the thing works, and you provide mutants that kill it and all the other different things that you want to do. And you have to demonstrate in depth how these things have operated. And so for me, that's just a baseline position. It's not something you would even not consider.
100%. And that's exactly my position as well. I just don't have a company that does this. I'm just doing this because I'm interested in it, and I'm super geek about all this. So
you're welcome to geek out here. There's no penalties for that, man.
Yeah, this is great. Like, it's like, oh my God, I found the promised land over here.
You can tell your wife at dinner tonight, you say, look, oh, I met these really interesting people. And she's like, oh, that's not interesting.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, sounds like we're in agreement on that, and we can again push this forward. So do you think that Telegram is the right forum to be having these discussions, everyone? Or should, maybe we can, once we get the GitHub operational, that might be the best place to maintain these conversations?
Or you can do a Slack channel, the same thing. So it's a little bit easier than Telegram, perhaps, is to do a Slack version or something like a Slack, where you can actually share the documents and spill out stuff in a bit more detail instead of typing it on your handset, on your phone, or whatever, if that's how Telegram works most of the time. But I know you can do it on your desktop. But
I have every platform, so for me it doesn't matter so much. But yeah, I really just want to be able to have in-depth discussions about this stuff, and to come up with some way to, frankly, make a living geeking out about this stuff. I've just moved on from my prior job, so I'm in the market in that way. So, but yeah, this has just been my side project in my own time for the last year or so, and a few years before that, because I came from the DAO world too, and so I have a lot of experience at watching failure modes, and so anyway, let's talk more offline. But I would love to have a recurring weekly to get into depth about maybe each one of these AAIPs and see where my work can contribute. And maybe I don't have any exposure to any of this stuff because I'm literally just creating all of it in my garage, kind of with an AI. So that's been what I've been doing. But so we can have a discussion in any format you guys like. I would show up for that.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So maybe we do create a Slack channel, and we'll get the GitHub up and running, and we'll get these things visible on there. Okay. So let's see. Technical implementation lens. Evaluating proposals and required properties. Proposals must define required properties without forcing adoption of a specific vendor's implementation. So implementation family on the left here, and your general standard properties fulfilled on the right. So something like ZKBC enables private zero leakage verification of agent boundaries, ensuring compliance without exposing internal states. Threshold cryptography and MPC powers distributed joint custody evidence systems to eliminate single-party trust or centralized points of failure. Hardware attestation provides silicon-level roots of trust, verifying cryptographic code execution and runtime integrity within enclaves. Software-based attestation establishes lightweight cryptographic code signing and validation of application state and behavior at runtime. Agent identity and access control secures cryptographically verified system authority decentralized identifiers, DIDs, and boundary permissions, and compliance monitoring agents deploys independent observation loops to enable passive real-time auditing and continuous drift detection. Anything anyone would like to add out there?
One question, Joel. Joel,
Yeah.
if you can hear me. Do you think I should just create a Quill private thread for these pieces so you can share docs? You don't have to get a whole nother Slack channel that you have to pay for, because I'm free. Like, I can give it to you guys for free. So if you want me to add Regis, Joel, yourself, because Chris, I'd also like to introduce you to Irene. She's now in Athens. She's one of our network engineers, and she'd also have a lot to add. So I think getting formally, we're starting to work with a lot more, like I said, of the custodians, the exchanges, the real world use cases right now that are kind of holding up MiCA in Europe. Also working with Danube Tech in Vienna. So Chris, if you're in Belgrade, that might make sense. I don't know what country or state you're in.
I'm in Florida, Eastern Standard Time, USA.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's up to you, Chris. If you want me just to create the subgroup and name it and invite those people on so we'd have even more privacy in the beginning. It's up to you, unless someone already has an enterprise Slack contract. It's up to you. I have the highest grade of security on mine right now. Why not take advantage?
Yeah, no, I agree that having it private and secure is good. I want to make sure that it's not a barrier to entry. So obviously, Joel, one of the things that's in Telegram is that you've got enough services to be commenting on currently. Are you active in Quill? Would that be?
No,
Well,
I only had Quill just recently because Lisa introduced me to that for some other things that we've been doing. But yeah, I have plenty of places to go and communicate with people.
Right. Whatever place is best, because once it's on GitHub, then it's okay to invite people to the GitHub, even providing a link on Quill to the GitHub. You know what I'm saying? So maybe starting there and then expanding instead of getting, I don't know which Slack, is it someone's enterprise Slack that you pay for that's going to be your data, or is it just getting one of the freebies?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
whatever you guys want. I'm easy, but I'm definitely moving towards real world adoption now with some central banks. I think we can get some real use cases in the mix now because it's time, and time is of the essence at the moment, as we all know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely trying out Quill. Want to set it up?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I'm happy to try it. And
yeah, I just invite you guys on for now. It'll be free for you, so we don't have to pay for it, but we still get, institutional grade privacy. And then we can invite Fidelity on, we can invite BNY on, like as we see fit to see what they're rolling out, right? Because like you said, getting the standards up to par for institutional grade implementation. And I'm sorry, I am driving. If anyone's writing, I can't read while I'm driving, so I'll look afterwards. But I'm fine. Telegram is cool, but you just don't really know who's on the other side if I start introducing some of the bank compliance people, because they're interested too in getting very involved because they've been behind they've been definitely behind.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean,
up to you guys though.
I think spin it up in Quill. If we find that it's not working for us, we can move to another platform. But I like the interface. It seems to work quite well. So let's do it. That's greatly appreciated.
And we
Lisa.
can do video calls right from there. Like if we have a subgroup, we can start the video calls together. I'll get everybody, make sure everyone in that subgroup is invited and try it out 1 time, 2 times. If it's too much, it doesn't matter, but especially the Europeans now. So I do work, like I said, with a lot of the German banks, DAIAA, Netherlands, like they're really MICA focused right now. And they're trying to keep, Joel, to your point, keep up the standards of what we're going to be rolling out here in the US. So it really would be tying kind of the international flavor in together.
Amazing.
Easy.
Like,
I got to jump to the next thing. Sorry, people. But thanks, Chris and Co.
okay, I'll
Good chat.
put this pretty much at the end here. So we'll see you next time.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers. Yeah, we're coming up to the end here. We're already a few minutes over. We had a bit of a late start, but we're not necessarily going to have time for the guided discussion. We did cover a lot of this already, so that's good. Let's see, just quickly look at what we were going to potentially discuss. Which AAIP should we prioritize first? I think we already have that set, 001. We can start with that. What specific elements would make it immediately useful to builders? That's going to be an ongoing conversation. What exact evidence should be required for adoption? Again, we'll figure that out as we go. Who wants to contribute, review examples or implementation notes? I think we have covered that here. Huge shout out to Regis. I'm glad that you found us, bro, because we're building right in your house.
Yeah, and everything I've made is all just free on GitHub, right? So it's not, I have nothing that's, so it'd be cool to get feedback on it. I've just been, like I say, been here in my garage. There's a couple of projects that are implementing my stuff, but yeah, I've got some ideas about all of the AAIPs and AAIPs to propose as well already since I've been on the call. So yeah, it's just great. And looking at the open matter network stuff that you guys are doing, it's all right there in my wheelhouse too. So, yeah. And since I'm not employed at the moment, I have all the time in the world.
All right.
I contribute to stuff. So it would be cool to make all this stuff I've been working on somehow implementable or checkable by people who live in this space. So it'd be great. And I have a data advisor account and all of that. So, but yeah, I just need to get into this more, and I'm super glad you guys are all here, walking the edge of that proprietary versus open source thing. I can see people are doing that somewhat too. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, nice. Well, you've definitely found your people here.
Thank you. I
Okay,
appreciate
I've
it.
just
Welcome.
we like that, and your GitHub was shared in the chat. If you're cool, I'm going to share that in the YouTube notes. If you're
Yeah,
happy with that.
that's one of 3. I would go to the Integrity Suite thing because it gives you the whole integritysuite.org gives you the whole picture.
Right.
So,
and our last
Okay.
discussion, framing, and I think Lisa's got us covered on that. So thanks a lot, Lisa. Steps.
I'll send everybody a note afterwards just to get everybody. It'll be a couple hours. I'll invite, create the group, and then you guys can give me feedback. If it doesn't work, then just do Slack or Telegram.
Amazing.
But if we want to add a bank, if we want to, add a bank, it's easier for me to be on a bank grade platform and say, can you guys come on to Telegram?
Yeah, perfect.
Sure.
'Cause I think it's time to get the real, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Cool. I gotta jump too, guys. See y'all
Okay,
later.
well, thanks for coming.
Hey, Lou.
Soon.
Talk soon. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Yeah, so next steps, we pretty much have covered this as well. So that's good. We can just close it out now by saying thanks everybody for attending. Our next meeting is going to be on the 9th of September. So 2 weeks from now at 1 p.m. Eastern. I did share the Telegram in the chat, but for anybody watching this on YouTube, you can join the Telegram at this link here. we will be starting up that new Quill work group, and that will be a way for us to communicate securely and fold some banking and compliance style folks into the fold without without dealing with scammers on Telegram. Telegram is a great open forum, but it is an attack vector for scammers. 100%. I get scam messages quite often on there. And here's a link to our next meeting. So you can click on that link right there. I will actually share it directly in our chat as well. So anybody who is in this meeting and wants to join in, you can just click that link right there. And we appreciate you all coming. Yeah, this has been a really fantastic meeting. So thanks a lot, everybody. And we will see you in 2 weeks' time.